what's up guys? Back again with another video. So we're going to be moving on with the Spigot stuff. This episode we're going to be going over configuration and the config.yml file, which hopefully you know about if you've messed around with plugins before or used them, anything. So what it is that you can provide a file that goes along with your plugin for the server owner can mess around with, and they can configure certain things within the plugin. Like let's say we have what's called MOTD, which is the player join message, I believe, and you can configure what that message will be every time they join. So instead of it being configured inside the plugin code, like right here, it'll be configured inside this file. So not just the developer can change it, but the server owner can change it. So hopefully you know what that is, because I'm not good at explaining, of course. But anyway, so let's go ahead and make this project, and you'll see more about it. So let's do configuration plugin. That's what I would call mine. Doesn't matter what you call yours. Then of course we have our package here. Okie dokie, looks good to me. Let's copy this. Oops, there we go. And good. Let's change this file. We gotta put this in front. Where's the slash? The forward slash. Where is it? Oh, there it is. Okay. Okay, so you don't have to really worry about what I just did. Just make sure you create the plugin, and I just was setting the project folder, so no problem. Okay, this project directory doesn't exist, so it'll create. Okay, cool. Anyway, so let's let that create. Just select that. Great. Enable auto import. So now we're good to go. So right off the bat, I'm just going to get rid of this because we don't need it, of course. And yeah, so let's see. Let's open this up here. Oh, not that one. This one. There we go. Main, Java, main package, and there we go. So here's our plugin. So right off the bat, if we're going to do this, we need to have a config.yml. So you can pretty much have it wherever, I believe, like up here and here. But where I recommend you have it is just so you can keep everything orderly. Keep in your resources package or folder, whatever, same thing. So do new and then do file, and then you can name the file. So we'll do config.yml, and it has to be called that, okay? So yeah. So now that we have this here, we have to register in our onEnable, but just know that we're going to be working with not just the main file class here. We're actually going to be doing it, accessing the config within other classes, but that's a little more difficult. So we're going to be doing that later on. So anyway, so how to register this? We could do like this. We do git config dot, and then we'd say options dot, and then copy defaults, and then just like that. And then that what that will do is load the file and copy it every time your plugin loads up, basically. And then this one right here will make sure that it saves. So it's save default config. Make sure you don't do save config, but save default config. There's a difference. So there we go. Now we have that. And yeah, so we're good to go with that. And so yeah. So to test it out, we're gonna make a new command. So we're gonna do in here, of course, like I said. Okay, so we have our command. We're just gonna return false. Keep things simple. Okay, so we're gonna make a command here. We're gonna call it command.get name equals, and then the command will be called print message from config. I know that's long, but just so you understand what's happening. Okay, good. And so once we have that, we can start accessing things. But first we're going to cast player, because we're going to be sending a message to the player. Oops, what the hell? There we go. I was trying to do alt insert, it just wouldn't work. But anyway, so we're going to cast it right here. Sender. Okay. So you should know what that does by now, because we've done it plenty of times now. Okay, so let's go to our config.yml. So within here you have a lot of options. You can pretty much do a lot of things. So the main things you can do, you can have a string. You can have pretty much every data type within the Java language, I guess you could say. So we can do a string. So to do a string, you just give it a name first. This is what the access will be. So food, that will be our first one, I guess. And then for a string, you have to have a single quote surrounding the string, and this string will be the data that you're accessing. So inside here, will be the string. So we'll say, what's a food? Let's do potato. So that's the food we'll be accessing. So that's our string. So you can do strings. You can have as many of these as you want. Just you can have it on the second line, and then just like this, basically. Oops. Just make sure, of course, you give it a unique name every time. So just stuff like that. You can make as many as you want. But also you can do integers and doubles. So you can do numbers basically. So to do that, you could do like number. You could say 125, or you can have a make it a double by just adding decimal, of course. Oops. And then you got booleans, so let's do boolean. You got false, or you can have true. That's just how it works. Pretty simple, right? Then you have one that's pretty cool. You can have lists, which are basically like arrays. So to do a list, you just give it a name, of course, like these. And so we'll name it list. Okay. Actually, no. We'll name it food list, so it's a little more descriptive. So food list, and then make sure you tab once, only once, and then here you put a dash and the space, and this is what where you put the data. So before you do anything, you add anything, you have to decide what the data type of the list will be. So it's an array basically, right? So an array has a data type. So this will be a list of strings, okay? So that means you have to have this, of course. Actually, I don't think you have to have this, but yeah, just have it anyway. So to do that, I mean, just to put stuff in there, we need to have some food, of course. So we'll have pizza. Then a second one, you just add it like that. Then you could say orange. Then you add another one if you want to. We say grape, okay? And I believe for a list, or maybe even this, you don't have to have the single quotes, but I'm pretty sure you do. I mean, it's not really that huge of a thing if you don't have it, I don't think. But anyway, so now we have all these data types. The point is you can have a bunch of data types, and yeah, this is how you do them. So first, we're going to start by accessing these first two here. And so to do that, we have separate methods for each data type within this. So let's say we want to access, well, we just send the player message. So player.send message. And then we can send him, let's say we want to send him the food here. So let's send him potato, okay? So to do that, we would do get config and then get string, because this is a string, of course, right? So make sure it's get string that you're doing. So get string, and then string here, and this is where you put the name of the string basically. So that would be food, like that. Okay. So what this will do is print the value of food, which is, as you know, potato. So that's how that works. Pretty simple, right? So what you should do is, so this might get a little long if you do it like this. So what you should do is have a different variable for each config value. So let's do string food equals, and then this. So get config dot get string food. Okay, so this will make it shorter. So let me show you why it does, how it makes it shorter. So then we could just do food like that. So then we could just print it out simply. So what we can do is have chat color. Let's do like dark. I don't care what the color is. Just make it cool. And then we can say the food in the config.yml is, and then we could have chat color to aqua or red, whatever. And then we could have the food here. There we go. So what this does is take this food value, which is the config, you know, food, and then prints out like that. So we'll see how that works. Let's go into our plugin.yml and register this command. So to do that, we gotta do commands, of course. Then what's it called? What's the command called? Print message from config. So I'll just copy it. Okay, so that should register the command like always. So now what we're going to do is go to View, Tool Windows, and we'll do Maven Projects, and then we'll do Lifecycle, and then Package, and then I'll meet you inside the server. So actually, I'm going to show you this. We're going to start at the server here, and we have to wait 15 seconds. But what will happen is if we go into our plugins folder, as you know, whenever you start up the plugin, it'll generate a folder for it. But inside that folder, this time we'll have a config.yml. And you'll see that in a second once this loads. There we go. So we got that loaded. That's not the same thing. Gotta wait. There we go. So here it is, configuration plugin. And so we got config.yml. So let's open this up. And there we go. So we have everything that we specified inside of this one. So it loaded on there, and that's really cool. So now we have it. And yeah, so now what we're going to do is test to see if our command works so we can access the potato. So let's see if we were able to access it correctly. So what was the command again? Let's do help configuration plugin. So print message from config. There we go. So it says the food in the config.yml is potato. So awesome, it really works. So as you can see, is you can specify any number of strings and any number of any other data type inside of your config.yml and then access it manually through your plugin. And then later on, the server owner can change what it is. So we'll do that right now. But you have to realize this is really powerful because now your plugins are very configurable. I don't know the word, but it's just important because now server owners can make their plugin customizable. There we go, customizable, and that's just really cool. But anyway, so we'll just change this food to something like, let's change it to shark. I'm not sure who eats shark, but I'm sure there's people who do. So now what we have to do is reload the plugin before we do it. Yep, so now it's reloaded. So now what we can do is access the command again, and now it says the food in the config.yml is shark. So as you can see, that's really cool. So now you can change messages in basically almost in game, and we're actually going to be able to do that. We can run commands that change the config in game, so we don't have to go into the file. But that's later on. So what we're going to do now that we access the string within our plugin, we're going to access the other data types that we specified in our config.yml. So let's go back in here. And let's try and access number and boolean. So it's the same way, but of course you're not using getString, you're using the other ones. So let's do that. So we'll say, well, first let's move this over. Let's do int number equals get config dot get int, and this time we use int get int, or if you're using a double, use get double. You know, it's pretty simple, right? And then within that we gotta specify what it was called. It was called, oops, not that one. It was called number, so that's where we put that. So number is the path, of course. And then we'll also do boolean, the boolean one. So boolean equals get config dot get boolean. And then we give the path, which was boolean. That's what it was called, right? So now we have these we can access now, and we'll just go ahead and throw these on top. So we'll add number, and it doesn't matter how this looks, of course, when we print out the message and this inside the server. That's just the fact that we can access that is really cool, and we have to demonstrate that. So anyway, so we're gonna run this now. So plugin, package, whatever. We're running that now. So I'll meet you inside the server, and we'll see if it worked. Okay, so we're back in the server. I reloaded and everything. So let's see if the message is now different. Oops, wrong command. That was for another plugin. So there we go. We have the food in the config.yml is shark125 true. So obviously it worked, and that's pretty cool. So yeah, so we can see anyway. So we're gonna move on to the last one, which is the list. And remember what we did? We specified the list as the string list. So this will be strings we have to access. So let me show you why that's important. So if we go into let's say string third item. So this will be the third item in the list we're trying to access, which is the grape. We want to access grape, right? So to access grape, we do get config dot and then get string list right here. Get string list. So we get the data type and then list. You know, pretty simple, right? So then we provide the path, of course. So the path will be food list. That's what it was called, I believe. Let's check. Yeah, food list. And then we have to have dot, and then we have to do, and then get, and then you have to put the index. So this basically works like an array. So it's 0 based. So the index of this would be 2, of course, because the way it works is 0, 1, 2. So like that. So if we don't access grape, it'll be 2 that we want to access. So now third item is set to grape. Great. So let's test that out by printing it out in here. So we'll get rid of these, and we'll just do third item like that. So I'll meet you inside the server to see if it worked. So we're inside the server now, so let's run our command. and we get grape. So awesome, everything worked. And let's go ahead into our plugin folder here, and we're gonna see if we can change the list. So we're gonna go to plugins, configuration plugin, config.yml, and then here is where we have our data, of course. So let's change this to mammoth. I know that's not a food, but oh well. And so yeah, once we have that, of course, all we have to do is reload the server. There we go. So now let's do the command again. And now let's change to mammoth. So great, it works. So now that we know how to access config.yml values and then set them inside the file, of course, and reload and all that cool stuff, let's make a command that sets the value of the config.yml manually inside the server. So let's do that. So let's go inside here, and we're just going to keep this, but we're going to have another command. So else if in this command get name, then equals, and this command will be called set food. So this will be able to set the food, you know, right here. So then we'll have, so that's all good, right? So to access to set a value, you just do get config.set, and that's all you need to do. So we have two parameters, right? So the first parameter will be the path, which is something we've already done, which will be just food, because that's what it's called. Oops. And then the second will be the value that you're setting it to, which is again pretty simple. So the food that we're going to set it to is shrimp. We'll set it to shrimp. Shrimp is disgusting, by the way. It's horrible. But anyway, so we're setting this to shrimp. So once we load up the plugin, it'll stay as potato, or no, it'll stay as what was it? Shark, because that's what we set it to. So it won't be shrimp yet until we run this command. That's the point. If you're wondering is why whenever we add a new plugin version to our server, when we update the plugin, why isn't it reset to potato? Well, even though we're updating the plugin, we're not deleting this file. So to make it go back to potato, we would have to delete this file, but I'm not going to do that. But yeah, that's the point of that. So anyway, we got this command here, and we got to register. I forgot about that. So let's do that. Let's do set food, I think it was called. Description. Okay, cool. So I'll see you inside the server, and then we'll test out this command. So now that we have our command and we registered it, let's go ahead and let's change this to show us the food one again, so then we could test to see if it actually worked, you know. So let's go ahead and run this, and I'll meet you inside the server. Okay, so I reloaded, and let's see. Let's test it out by running our old command. So we get shark, of course. So let's do set food. And that should hopefully set it to be something else. So let's run our old command. Now it's shrimp. So awesome, it works. Now we can set the value of the config.yml thingies inside the server. So that's really cool. So once we learn about command arguments, we can do like set config. We can do like set, what was it called? Set food. And then we have a parameter here or argument, and we could say like poop, and then so the food will be set as poop instead of like, you know, something set inside of here. So yeah, it's hard to explain it a little bit, but it's just really good potential with this. So we'll be working more with this hopefully in the future once we learn about you know, command arguments. But anyway, so we're almost done with this. So let's go back into our, let's go back into, we're gonna make a new file here. We're going to call it Java. Let's just make a new class here. We're going to call it commands. So this will be where we have our commands. And what I'm going to do now is show you how to access the configuration stuff inside of another class, because it's not that easy. So what we're going to do here is extends, what is it called? Command executor. Yep. So then we have to add gotta add public. Gotta add that, of course. Okay. So we have our command here, right? And this command will be called, we're going to rename it. It's not supposed to be called that. We got to name it what the command will be. Where's the rename? Refactor, rename. We're going to call it explode, because I'm not creative, so I'm going to call it that. And no interface expected here, so it's supposed to be implements, sorry. Implements, derp. But anyway, so now we have our command set up, so we can do stuff now. So we'll do what we did last time. So we'll do player, and we'll import that equals player sender. And what we're going to do is send the player message like last time, what we did with the food, right? So let's say we want to make the food variable like we did last time. So food, string food equals new and then get config. We can't do get config anymore because we're not inside the main class. So to do that, we have to create we have to create a plugin reference. So to do that, just do plugin. Oops. We gotta import that, of course. So plugin equals, and then command executor. No. What's the command? The plugin name. So configuration plugin dot get plugin, and then configuration plugin again dot class. So that's a little extensive, but it's pretty simple. Just copy and paste it into a notepad if you need it for later on, because you probably will, of course, if you're going to be doing this. So if you can't remember, just copy it and paste it. So anyway, let's see, we have an error here. That's strange. So we'll do get config. We do plugin dot get config now. So if we want to access it, we can do plugin dot get config. So that works now. So get config dot get string, and then we have food. So now we can access it like we did before. So we'll send the player message of food, which is just, potato. Or no, we set it to shrimp now, I think. So anyway, we have to register this command, of course. No, we have to register inside the main method also. So we'll do get command. No. Get command. I guess it is get command. So get command explode dot set executor, and we'll do new, and then we have to put the class name, so explode. There we go. So that's how you do that. We got to register the command. So now we have to register inside the plugin.yml, of course. So explode description. Doesn't matter. Okay, I'll meet you inside the plugin, so we'll see if this command worked. So if we access this correctly and it prints out shrimp, then we know we did it right. So we're inside the plugin server, of course. So let's try and run this new command that we made. So explode, and then we get shark. I guess it wasn't shrimp. But anyway, so we got shark, and so anyway, I hope you enjoyed this little tutorial. Hope it wasn't too confusing. If you liked it, leave a like. Subscribe if you want to see more. Just leave a comment if you need any help. I'll be glad to help you. So I'm sure there's going to be questions. There's a Discord in the description you can check out, so you can join and hang out with us or whatever. Ask questions, talk about programming. But anyway, peace.